Welcome back to another edition of Blood Time on the sports page at KIMT.com. Jared, it's a privilege to have you back.
We're back.
Good week. We had a lot of fun this week. I know you were down in Cedar Falls this weekend for wrestling, down in Southeast Polk last night for a good girls basketball
Logging the
game.
miles is what they call it.
You, off camera, you mentioned it's one of the best girls games you've ever seen. The Mohawks went on the road in the top 10 environment, and they beat Southeast Polk, a huge win, biggest one of the season, obviously, so far for the Mohawks.
I know it's not a state tournament game. I get that. But that game last night, Mason City #1, Southeast Polk #7. Mason City wins 69-64. Probably as well played a girls basketball game as I've ever seen or ever covered that I can remember. I mean, a lot of times in the moment, yeah, you say it's a great game, but it was phenomenal. There was the Engel girl from Southeast Polk who's going to Drake was phenomenal down the stretch. Buckley was all over the floor the entire game. And then you throw in Mackenzie Meyer, the freshman who scores 18. Melvin had 16 for the Mohawks. I mean, so you had 3 Division I players, right? Yeah. You had a game where the Mason City's up 16 in the second quarter, 22-6. Engel just puts that team on her back, comes back, and it's a tie game in the fourth quarter. Southeast Polk takes a 3-point lead on an Engel 3. Meyer comes down, drills a 3, makes 2 free throws. Mohawks never trail. This
is a huge game for the Mohawks. I know it's, again, we say it's early in the season, but they're coming off a loss.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That loss doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, there's thoughts creep into your mind anytime you have a 2-game losing streak. Just thought. Right. I mean, they're not big thoughts, anything like that, but just when you start thinking about the quality of teams that they would have played and lost to, this gives them all kinds of confidence, especially the fact that it was on the road. And what I heard was a raucous crowd there in the fourth quarter, hard to hear even yourself think. Yeah, it was a fun environment. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Southeast Polk's for real. I mean, I know they lost to Des Moines East and they've lost to Mason City, but that's a state title contending team. Yeah. The Engel girl is so smooth. When you see a girl that can just pull up in transition and shoot threes, I mean, that's how you know that they're the real deal. Mackenzie Meyer is making some kind of a name for herself. The free throws is what I was most impressed with. Down the stretch, going up there, knocking them down at the line. That's a crunch time for a freshman to come up there with, you mentioned, 3 Division I girls on the floor as well. Man. What really struck me is her just ability not to shy away from a big moment or a big shot. I mean, you look, these are the biggest shots of the game. With the crowd's going nuts, and Southeast Polk's got the lead, she comes down and just pulls like it's no big deal, like she's just done this 1,000 times. This is her first true road game, I mean, in a high school environment in Iowa against a top 10 team. And she comes out, and listen, she's the next superstar for the Mohawks. There's no way around it. She's phenomenal. She looks like a Division I athlete to me. And I know she's a freshman in high school. She just has that look, a 5'9" guard who can shoot, who can handle, who doesn't seem to phase or get phased in a big moment. There's no question of it. If she's this good already, it's weird timing just because she's coming in right as Jada's going out. Perfect timing if you're a Mason City fan. But it's impossible to not draw similarities between the two. Yeah, and there are some. I mean, there are some. I think Meyer right now is a perimeter shooter who's got a tremendous jump shot, and that's what you saw make 4 threes last night. Jada's, I mean, she has a great jump shot too, but her ability to get into the lane and defensively. But Meyer was really good defensively down the stretch too. I think that's the one thing that Price stood out is defensively. I'm just talking when I said I know they're 2 different athletes, but I'm just saying potential and team leadership and taking your team to the next level. I think both of those 2 might do it better than anybody that Mason City's ever seen. And then you throw in Rush, who does all the intangible things, and Melvin, who can flat out just shoot it. Yeah. You know, and then I really like Vorba defensively. I thought she did a really good job on Engel last night, which is crazy to say. I mean, you can't. Those pull-up threes are. You can't. You can't defend it. When you're throwing it in the ocean and you can make anything, it's. Because I thought she did a good job defensively. I'll tell you the truth. That was a big win for the Mohawks. They're playing Ames at home this Friday. Another top 10 team coming in. Again, Mason City has a ton of confidence after that win. And I don't imagine Ames is nearly as good as Southeast Polk. I haven't seen Ames, but I would be shocked if they are to that level. Let's talk about the Hampton-Dumont girls real quick. They, speaking of conference wins and good teams off to a good start, they've beaten Algona and they've beaten St. Ed so far. And you know the North Central Conference, girls basketball, when you beat those 2 teams, you kind of send a message. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you win games early in that league, I think it sets a tone just for your team from a confidence standpoint where you think that you can believe, or you believe you can win games, at conference games and big games against teams that typically you haven't beaten in the past. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for high school girls is confidence. Yep. When you see, you can tell when a team plays with confidence. When you pull up and you can shoot and you don't hesitate and you don't think and you just play and you react, I think that's how you can tell that you have a good basketball team. You saw Taryn Bars in that first highlight. She's one of the senior leaders, and they have a couple freshmen speak. I'm blanking. I think it's Jessica Speak is a freshman for the Bulldogs this year. She's going to be the real deal as well. There is all kinds of talent. They're excited, and they have momentum again. Both of those games are at home. They beat Algona and St. Anne's at home. What happens when we go on the road, we'll have to see. But they're off to one heck of a start. And
that's all you can ask for. If you're 4-0 at this point, you know that you're going to get wins down the line. Because you don't start 4-0 and lose 10 games. It just doesn't happen.
Let's move to the boys' side. The North Iowa boys, I haven't seen them play yet this year. We haven't had a camera at their game so far. That will change on Friday when they travel to Forest City for...
They travel or they host Forest?
I think it's in Forest City. Because if that's at Forest City, that's go on the road again. That's 4 straight road games to open the year. I'm pretty sure it's at Forest City.
Right.
I mean, you pencil in, you start looking ahead. I mean, these two teams will be top 2, 3 in the North Iowa Conference.
Listen, there's not going to be a lot of separation. I mean, we talked last week. I'd be shocked if somebody runs the table or even goes through with one loss. Look, Belmont's undefeated, right? They beat Osage by 20 points last night.
Which kind of shocked me a little bit.
Shocked me.
Not that they won, but
it shocked me they were in the rankings. I'll tell you the truth. I was shocked they were in the rankings. I was floored, right? I was surprised.
Who else in our area votes? Is it just you and me?
I believe so. Truth be told, I didn't vote for Belmont in the latest poll. I needed to see more, and that Osage win tells me a little something. I want to see how they stack up in the league. The wins over Corwith, those don't do much for me.
They beat North Butler, though. That's a nice win.
How good's North Butler?
Somebody else.
We know the Corn Bowl.
Yeah, but I don't
know. The polls are weird. I mean,
this was their biggest win. This was Belmont's biggest win.
For sure. Yeah, that tells me that they're much better than I probably even thought.
I'm going down to the practice tomorrow. It'll be fun to watch and see what they have.
Right.
But I mean, we can jump into it. Our next team we're going to talk about is Forest City. They won. They've been on the road their first 3 games. They lost in Mason City. And you call it a game they should have won, call it a close game, whatever. First game of the year. Then they won at Esterville Lincoln Central. Last night they went at Newman. They jumped out to a huge lead. The back comes Newman, and Casey Hall plays fantastic. Caden Wadley played fantastic. But Eric Erdman, that kid is the real deal.
He's the next great guard. I mean, we've seen it with the Putz kids. We've seen it with the Rosackers. Now it's the Erdmans that are going to take control of that program. I think we've seen it. Last year he was a freshman that had monster games at times. And now it's going to be one of those things. These next few years are going to be it's his team, and he's going to carry them. He's going to have games where he puts that team on his back.
How big is that win over Newman last night? I mean, Newman's a team that's they've got a lot back this year as well with Casey Hall right there. That's an impressive move. They got AJ Kem, Jack Fitzgerald's playing point. The Gatton kid is a good player as well. Great defense. He leads their press.
I think any road win you get in that league is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that what it's going to come down to in that league is hold serve at home, right? Hold serve at home and then steal some on the road, and that's going to be the recipe to win a conference title. And so I don't think there's not a bad road win. I mean, you go on the road and you win. I don't care if it's by 20 or by 3. You breathe a sigh of relief and you go back to work.
And again, Newman is a team that's. It's not just another road win. It's a hostile environment. They get a nice win. West Fork boys, they are also undefeated on the season. They got down big. They couldn't make a free throw to save their life against GHV, but they came back and won that game. I think yesterday they beat Nashville Plainfield at home. So Coach Snows is 2-0 in his return to the West Fork bench. Early thoughts on the Warhawks?
About what we expected. I mean, listen, they're going to be the class of the Corn Bowl. I think that you see Amsbaugh stepping up, and you have Haller and you have Plaguey. I think Amsbaugh stepping up gives you another dimension, right? I mean, we've seen teams in the past where if you have 1 or 2 guys, I mean, you can maybe not take them away, but you can limit them and just say, who else can beat us? Well, now if you have that threat, I mean, you're going to be that more dynamic on the offensive end, and I think they needed that.
They needed somebody because GHV put a zone press on them. GHV is a tall team. They put a zone on them, and they forced West Fork to shoot. And until they prove that they're going to do that.
That's the question, right?
How many shooters are they going to have on a consistent basis? Every once in a while, you get somebody who gets hot. But if you take Peyton Plaguey away, can West Fork beat you?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, that's what they're going to have to do is beat teams from the perimeter, because you're just going to see that defense sag more into the post. You're going to front Peyton Plaguey, and you're going to have a guy behind him, and you're going to say, shoot a 15 to 18-foot jump shot, and if you can make that, so be it.
It'll be interesting to see how that, I mean, again, your Corn Bowl, sure, but then about a week and a half now, they'll play North Iowa, a team that, I mean, we'll learn a lot about what West Fork can do in that game, just because North Iowa has the athletes to play zone and kind of get out there and put pressure on you on the wings.
North Iowa can defend.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing that they did last year on their way to the state tournament is they defend. I mean, they'll get in those grinded out games in the 30s.
A couple shutdown guys, too.
and that's how they're going to play.
Let's do one quick wrestling story. I know, watching you on Twitter, I was at this duel last night. I didn't stay very long because it started way the heck late, but it was Forest City and Osage. Yeah. Forest City went on the road and beat Osage.
Shocking.
I was shocked at that. Just from what I'd seen from Osage so far, I was kind of shocked at that result.
I talked to Steve Stout this afternoon, the Forest City wrestling coach. Listen, they had never won a duel in Osage in the school's history. It's the second time they've ever beat Osage. The other time was 2002. So, I mean, listen, no, that's staggering to me. How they go on the road with no ranked wrestlers. Let's keep that in mind. Yeah. Forest City has no ranked kids. They get a monster win at 220. Putney beats Jeffries, who Jeffries had stuck him in the NIC title match last year. And then you go to 113, where the Gelhaus kid wins by injury default. He was winning at the time over Hankey, number 8th ranked kid. And it just shocks me. I mean, Forest City's better than I thought, right?
Yeah, I mean, Osage is still very, very, very good.
Yeah, and Osage might have had a kid or two out last night, right? Yeah. And the Hankey kid was sick. So, I mean, listen, there are some moving parts there. But listen, that's a monster win for Forest City.
We talk about momentum. You have some kids now that believe that they can beat some of those top kids in the state throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, and it's belief. Listen, they were 13-8 last year. They're 6-1 already this year in duels. Yeah. So they're off to a tremendous start, and I would expect them a year after not having any state qualifiers.
Yeah,
that's what it's about for them now.
Any other things that are jumping out at you so far in the prep scene?
Wrestling-wise, probably. Boy, what the match of the year so far, Jesse Etherington from Charles City against Bubba Hernandez at Bettendorf in the title match at 152 at Keith Young. As good a wrestling match as you're going to see. Hernandez wins 7-5. A couple late scrambles where Jesse had close to a takedown on the edge, called out of bounds. Overtime, a tremendous scramble. Hernandez gets the 2. I mean, listen, that match doesn't matter for Etherington's quest of winning a state title. No. I mean, the Hernandez kid's ranked number 1 at 145 in a different class, so whatever. As good a match as you're going to see, in Cazona was lights out for Mason City.
He's at a different level. I mean, you don't see, he wrestles as like a 160-pounder at 113.
The thing that I like about him that's different this year, and he did this at times last year, he doesn't wait. He doesn't wait, and he doesn't hesitate. I mean, there's times where the whistle blows and he's in and on an ankle. He did that in the title match against Johnny Etherington, en route to a 5-0 win. I mean, that's the thing that you see great kids. They almost win the match in the first 10 seconds.
Was it against Waukee, their home duel last week?
He did the exact same thing in that.
The Waukee fans, I was sitting right next to them while I was shooting video, and they were blatantly yelling, make him wait to blow the whistle. Right. I'm like, well, when you're that fast.
That's winning mentally before when the match starts.
Sending a message.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Other than that, the Mohawks have a ways to go. Listen, Saturday wasn't their best performance, I thought. I mean, they had some kids wrestle well. I thought Bartel, he finished 4th at a really good weight. They're not there yet, but I think that's going to look a lot different come February. I do, and we should touch on Clear Lake.
Yeah.
Undefeated so far. They're coming.
They're at home tomorrow, too, for the first time this season.
And listen, they're really young, but they're on the upswing.
And they have more kids in the room.
Yes.
Listen,
they got 5 6-pounders.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I know that kind of hurt them last year. They didn't have, one, they were all really young, and 2, they were just
and they were underweight. They had kids 95 pounds wrestling at 106 and a 98-pounder wrestling at 113. So, I mean,
it makes it tough to do.
Do the math.
Let's talk NFL real quick, and we'll get to the bowl games in a second. Vikings, huge game against the Bears. Urlacher's probably out. MD Jennings is probably out.
Tim Jennings. MG Jennings plays for the Packers.
MD Jennings. He's the guy who...
Jennings, whatever, yeah.
Immaculate reception.
Yeah, reception. They're done.
And the Vikings or the Bears?
Well, I mean, listen, they have the best player right now in the NFL.
Not even close.
Peyton Manning's still
not even close.
Peyton Manning's
okay. No.
Good.
No. Adrian Peterson doesn't make mistakes.
Neither does Peyton Manning.
Yes, he does. He threw a pick against the Buccaneers to let them back into the game.
Listen, Peyton Manning. Okay, I'm not saying Adrian Peterson's great. If the Vikings are 8-4 or getting the playoffs, he's the MVP of the league, I think. But they're not. They're 6-6.
Not his fault.
Not his fault, but still,
not even close to his fault.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Huge game, huge division game. They're seeing what's going on in Seattle. If they beat Green Bay last week, this week's game is for first place in the division. He carries over 10 yards a carry.
Listen, have you seen the Greg Jennings YouTube thing where he put the team on his back? Have you seen this?
Yes.
They need to make one of Adrian Peterson because he put that team on his back. Right?
He did. Leslie Frazier tried to take it off.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't understand the play calling inside the 20
at all.
Where Adrian just runs people over and it's down to the 15, and then you decide, hey, let's just put it in Ponder's hands, who's been completely unreliable the last 6 weeks.
Correct me if maybe you even feel the same way. I have never seen a game, or at least in my recollection, where the single weak link was so obvious on display than that game last Sunday.
Agreed. And at least Ponder manned up and said, listen, I'm the reason we lost that game. Because
there is no other reason.
Listen, I'm not always a big guy for switching quarterbacks. I'm not. I think that you did need to see what you had, Christian Ponder. But there's no reason Joe Webb wasn't in that game Sunday. I don't even care about the last 4 minutes where you're down 9. Put Webb in. Just see what happens, right? Because you've seen enough of Christian Ponder through 55 minutes of that game to know that he is not. Maybe it's just not his day. Whatever.
He can't even be playing with confidence, though.
No,
one, the throws. Even if it's not there, just throw it out of bounds, and the Vikings probably win that game. Those 2 turnovers.
And the receivers are awful. Let's be honest.
Well, they're terrible. But even if he just throws the ball out of bounds, just throw it into the stands, kick a field goal, and that game's and Blair Walsh makes the next one. We're tied.
Right.
Simple as that.
It's game management. It's quarterbacking 101.
Awful.
Listen, if you're not going to be a Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, you at least need to be an Alex Smith, right? And you need to manage situations.
Drives me nuts too.
Manage situations.
Yeah.
What Alex Smith's situation drives you nuts?
He should be the starting quarterback. What did he do? Get a concussion? He was 24-1.
I get 24-1
in his last 25 starts.
Listen, I get, but I understand what they're doing.
Nope, don't get it.
You don't?
No.
Really? It's not like Kaepernick's played bad. It's not like he's coming in and playing like Christian
They didn't have a problem. Like, what was the problem?
I'm not debating that fact.
To throw the ball to Randy Moss? Randy Moss hasn't done anything with Kaepernick either.
No, I'm not debating that fact. Listen,
there was nothing
whoever
wrong.
plays San Francisco is going to be plays quarterback is going to be asked to do the exact same thing, whether it's Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick. And I think what they see is Colin Kaepernick gives you that dimension with his legs. And right or wrong, I think that's what they see.
It's incorrect. Real quick, just early thought on the Iowa State bowl game. They're playing Tulsa. It's a cool bowl and a fun location on New Year's Eve, but the fact that they're playing a team they've already played kind of rubs the luster off of it for me.
Yeah, I like everything about it except the opponent. I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. I think that we've already seen this. We've seen Iowa State beat Tulsa, and now you're just playing them on a neutral field, and you play them week 3 next year. So you're playing Tulsa 3 times
within a year.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I don't like about it. But other than that, that's probably about where they belong.
Bielema to Arkansas, that shock you a little bit?
Money never surprises me.
Yeah, why would he do that?
Money. Listen, you're getting paid 3.5. You're getting paid $1 million more a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can say you love Wisconsin, but listen, do you want to be secure? You're already secure, but do you want to have that extra $1 million a year?
I was amazed by the amount of people that didn't like him. You read the reports about the amount of people that just say can't win the big game. Wait, he took the Wisconsin to the Rose Bowl 3 straight. Say what you want about this year's trip.
See, this is Wisconsin people thinking that they're Ohio State, and they're not.
No.
Right? You're not Ohio State, you're not Michigan.
And you won't be until you do this.
And listen, and you're not going to be, because Ohio State's on the way up. Michigan's on the way up. So I think Bielema kind of sees the writing. Listen, we had our run.
Yeah.
What else can I do? I'm not going to get that team to a national title playing escalated Ohio State and Michigan programs. I think he sees that, and I think from a coach's perspective.
Okay, now he's going to go through LSU and Alabama.
But coaches are arrogant, right?
Yeah,
coaches are arrogant. A lot of these guys at this level, they want the ultimate challenge, and the ultimate challenge is the SEC.
Where are you at this weekend? You going to Nashville?
Where am I going this weekend? It's a good question. Mohawk basketball Friday. I think I got hockey on Saturday. The Bulls, I believe.
The Bulls. The Bulls are back in town. They're a fun team. They're on a roll.
They're just crushing people.
Yeah, that showcase was in the spotlight was shining bright on the North Iowa Bulls.
They're fun to watch. If you get a chance, get out and watch them. It's a fun environment. It's a good product, and I think the hockey's
a good coaching staff too. I really enjoy my relationship with Todd Sagan. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's excellent. Me and you work with him on a consistent basis. Excellent to work with.
The kids love him.
The kids do love him.
I don't know what it is.
He's more fun to talk to off the record, I'll tell you that. I wish I could. A lot of the coaches are the same way. I wish I could just print or write a book about excerpts not on the record
Maybe
stuff.
Someday when I know I'm done in the journalism field.
There's no way I could. There's
a lot, and especially the timing of it. It's just great.
Right.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back next Wednesday. We'll keep going probably until maybe one or two more, and we'll take a couple weeks off for the holiday break and get back up when it comes to playoffs.
That's right.
That's Jared Patterson of the Globe Gazette. This was another edition of Blood Time.